Let's look at 1 Kings chapter 1, verse 1 together. My goal is to help you see what's happening in the Hebrew text. Don't worry, you don't need to know Hebrew to get value out of this video. I'll explain things as we go along. V'chamelech David zakein, ba bayamim, v'yekasuhu ba bagadim, v'lo yicham lo, which roughly translates to, now King David was old, advanced in years. They covered him with blankets, but it did not warm him. I highlighted the first letter in this verse because it's actually the first word of the sentence in Hebrew. It's a conjunction, and it's often translated as and or something else. In English, we normally don't start a story with the word and, but it's pretty common in the Old Testament. Most of the Old Testament's narrative books, that is to say, books that tell a story, start with this word, this vav. It gives the reader a sense that what they're about to hear is a part of a larger story. And that's exactly what we have here in the beginning of 1 Kings. 1 Kings follows the events that are covered in 2 Samuel, which follows the events in 1 Samuel, and so on and so forth, all the way back to Genesis. Zakein ba bayamim. These three words emphasize David's old age. He was old, advanced in years. Based on 2 Samuel 5, verses 4 through 5, David seems to have been about 70 years old at this time, which is substantially older than the average lifespan in ancient Israel. The word Zakein just means old, and Ba Bayamim literally means entered in the days. It's often translated as advanced in years. The combination of these three words only appears 3 other times in the Old Testament. The first occurrence refers to Abraham when he's an old man. Joshua is twice described using this phrase. So, 3 important figures in Israel's history, Abraham, Joshua, and David, are described this way. It marks the transition to a new era, which, as we will soon discover, is exactly what's happening in this story. Bayikasuhu ba begadim. They covered him with blankets. We haven't met these people yet, but they, in this verse, refers to David's servants. Bagadim is often used to refer to clothes, but in this sentence it clearly means something like blankets or extra layers. V'lo yicham lo, but it did not warm him. Apparently, David was an old, frail man who couldn't properly regulate his body temperature anymore. Even the extra blankets couldn't warm him up. This word yicham, is actually pretty interesting. It means to become warm. The most obvious meaning in this sentence is that David is trying to regulate his body temperature. As we'll see over the next few verses, however, the narrator may be using this word as a double entendre. That is, a word with 2 meanings. It's the same word that is used to describe sexual desire. Either way, the point of this verse is to contrast the elderly David with his younger, vibrant self. The narrator wants us to know 3 facts about David at the beginning of 1st and 2nd Kings. First, he is still the king. Second, David is an old man. And third, David isn't the vibrant man he once was. Each of these factors will become important as we continue to examine the opening story of 1 Kings. Before you go, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel, then make sure to watch one of these videos next.